sports and entertainment video. Gonna jump into some entertainment updates. It's a ton of content to check and new content, new releases to check out this weekend. Man, everybody's trying to sneak in, I guess, prior to the end of the year. So we got quite a bit. Gonna talk about a little bit of music and an important movie I think people should check out. I'm, I got to be in a weird space because I happen, I don't know how anybody could be this unlucky, but I apparently rock with a lot of stuff really heavy that nobody else in the world really cares about. But I'm gonna continue being Robert Neville because I am legend, and keep putting it out there in case people pick up on it. And go from there. But anyway, I don't know if this. Yeah, so I guess it was yesterday. Speaking of movies, uh, on Netflix, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom is now available for streaming. Yeah, December 18th. I know it was at the local like coffee house, movie, cinema, whatever they call it, independent theater. It's been showing there for a week or so, but now it's on Netflix. The film stars Viola Davis and the late Chadwick Bozeman. I'm kind of tripping on checking him out in this. A lot of the snippets that I've seen. This is his last movie that he'll appear in, without any kind of trickery or 3D stuff or whatever or flashbacks in terms of the Black Panther. But I'm seeing snippets with him smiling as this trumpet player, as part of Ma Rainey's blues band and whatnot. And that's just so I can't even think of the word, but the irony in it or whatever. I don't know. It just seems like it's gonna be challenging to watch that and know that the brother is gone. And then for me personally, it hits home because in his passing, I realized that he actually went about his art in the same manner that I try to go about what I present to the world and how I present it, and it's intentional. And I found out. Of course, I'm nowhere on his level, but I do have a certain standard that I aim for. That some time to time I veer away from. Also on there, one of my favorite dudes who's had a really big 2020 is also in that movie, and Glenn Turman. What do you play? Preacher in Cooley High back in the day. But he also had a really great performance in this season in Fargo as Dr. Senator, I think was his name. But Glenn Turman is just a really powerful voice, and just in general. And then that makes for him to be able to play some hell of a roles, when he's in front of the camera and whatnot. But check that out. Like I said, it's produced by Denzel Washington. You gotta support Den or Zell, whichever one you use. There's another cat on here that I really like that's in the cast. I think he deserves to get out front at some point. But this brother Coleman Domingo, it seems like he's been in every slave movie that's been out, that's been made the last couple of years. It seems like that brother has been in it and always has that old school part. But I like him, man. He seems that I like to see him step out and do more. Maybe he could get an important role in in a TV show of some kind, or something. One of the limited series on Netflix or Hulu or Amazon Prime or something. So that's that. This is actually a play that was. This is actually an adaptation of a play written by August Wilson, who also wrote Fences from a few years ago, which starred Viola Davis and Denzel Washington. I guess August Wilson, I believe, passed away maybe in 2016. But what he did was he wrote a play that represented every decade of the 1900s. What is that? The 20th century. focusing on some kind of story about black people. And so Fences was one from maybe the 50s or something. This one right here is from the 1920s. And Denzel has set out to take all 10 of those plays and, in some shape, form, or fashion, make them into a movie and put it out there somehow. So we got to support the man to undertake something like that. I think that might be this might be the only two that have been completed at this point. So I'm gonna check it out later on tonight. It's something about a studio, a gathering at a recording studio in Chicago. Um, it's an ensemble cast of sorts. And, I guess there's some tension between Chadwick Bozeman as a young trumpet player who wants the spotlight, and Ma Rainey is the show. And I think they clash somewhat like Bleak and Shadow in the Spike Lee joint, Mo Better Blues, something like that. But anyway, check that out. Let me know what you think about it. Getting into some of this music today. Dope projects out there. The one that I'm gonna talk about in depth is the new Crime Scenes by Ransom and producer Nicholas Craven. Phenomenal, truly phenomenal project. I saw the Grammy list. Nas, the one that I couldn't think about last week when I was talking about it was a written testimony from Jay Electronica and Jay-Z, as well as the allegory from Royce da 5'9", and then there was also D Smoke, Black Habits or something black. I couldn't think of D Smoke. And then there's still one more that I'm forgetting now. I can't think of who the hell that was. But you can't tell me anybody had a better 2020 than Ransom. With the Deleted Scene series, which was 3 projects, that's now come from Deleted Scenes and now Crime Scene. All of those were produced by Nicholas Craven. And then now it's switched over to Crime Scenes to kind of change up the series, I guess. I had a feeling that somewhere after 3, they would choose to change it up somehow. You don't want to grow stale. And I think if you listen to Crime Scenes, you can tell, you can feel and get a vibe that this is somewhat of a change in direction, to a degree. I think Deleted Scenes was more it was more horror related. If you looked at the titles, they all of the songs, they all were taken from horror movies. So here with Crime Scene, if you look at the 7 tracks on there, they're all various crime movies: Killing Them Softly, A Most Violent Year, Uncut Gems, 25th Hour, Hell or High Water, which is a great movie. Great movie. So I'll get into that in just a second. There's a couple of bars that I wanted to stress that just shows you how masterful Ransom is at this right now. Before that though, quick note. Also, I didn't realize this was coming, but I listened to it earlier and it's pretty dope as well. I told you one of the MCs who really I got really familiar with during the pandemic, the quarantine situation, became a huge fan of this cat named Planet Asia, from Fresno, California, who's very East Coast inspired, some affiliations to Wu-Tang, and then, so on and so forth. But anyway, check his catalog out. He's actually a member of TCF Music, which is Trust Comes First, is headed up by 38 Special. And him and Musalini, who's one of the younger or newer members of TCF or Trust Comes First. Mussolini and Planet Asia got together and put out this album that's 10 songs deep, and it's called Pharaoh Chain. Last year, recently, Planet Asia had a 38 Special produced project called Trust Chain. That was fire. I think Juggernaut is on there. One of my favorite workout songs, Juggernaut. But anyway, check that out, man. I have to go back and review that at another time. But very impressed with it on the first listen. Really dug the project. Musalini stands up well against the more seasoned or I'm more familiar with Planet Asia. But some nice samples on there. Some different range being shown from Planet Asia in terms of subject matter and whatnot. Thought it was pretty dope. Now let me get to what I did expect. What I was expecting this morning was the release of Crime Scenes. Seven tracks. I think one of them is only interlude. It's Killing Them Softly, and that's from the movie starring, I believe, Brad Pitt was in that one. And the other six songs though, but it's fire. One thing that I said that might have rubbed some people the wrong way, if you're a big fan of Shay Noir, is the fact that it was her with this After 12 EP that she put out 2 weeks ago, I believe. It was probably taken as me slighting that record or hating on Shay Noir or not crediting her and praising her the way that one of her diehard fans would. But I just said, I liked the album. I thought it was dope. But depending on how you produce an album and put it together right now, it's going to have a different feel to it. And what I was talking about was Shay Noir seemed like she put together beats from these producer packs or these beat packs. And I thought everything on the album that she just dropped kind of sounded the same. And it just got a little monotonous to me. Because when you take it from the same source, that's going to be the feel. Conversely, checking out this brother Nicholas Craven, the way that he's put this album together, the samples that he uses, still, I get the feel that he's sampling a lot of this from actual records, from old records from back in the day. The music, it just sounds more adventurous to me. I hear, the next track comes on and I'm blown away with how dope the production is, or how did he find this sample? How did he put this loop together? How did he build this song? That's just me though. That's the way I listen to music. You may not give a damn about that, and you just like Shay Noir, and you had zero, concerns about that. I'm just telling you what I do. But anyway, getting into this project, the first cut, Uncut Gem. Oh, well, I won't even go into that. Uncut Gems is the first track. He's got a line on there talking about Bronny James. They only want smoke before the king arrives. Now, if you was watching NBA during the bubble, you'll know that I think it popped up on social media where LeBron James' oldest son was Savannah. He was caught, or not caught, but he filmed himself or was filmed smoking a blunt or something on social media. So that's what Ransom is referring to that right here with Bronny something. He said, Bronny James, they only want smoke before the king arrives. So that means, when Pops came home, there had to be some kind of, man-to-man with that. But I just thought that was a really dope line. And that's one of the phenomenal things, that I really get into with Ransom's lyrics is his sports references. Always has some really dope boxing references. He's definitely a student of the game of the sweet science. I'll get to one here in just a second. But his sports references, his philosophy, his commentary on the streets and hustling, top notch. Dude and it's not even glorifying hustling. It's just talking about surviving the struggle and putting out cautionary tales for those that might be going down that path. It's two different things than glorifying violence. He also says something that I've been making this point ever since I started doing content, making content. On that same joint in Uncut Gems, he says this line about people accept the rules when they love who's holding the knife. I've been saying that people, like especially with politics, people don't mind how they're being lied to as long as they love the person telling the lie. He said it as people accept the rules when they love who's holding the knife. I just thought that was Can't argue with it. That's how it works. Especially boxing is the perfect fan base for that. You know, as long as the guy that fight fans like is telling a lie or telling a story, they just eat it. Just eat it right out of the person's hand. So Uncut Gems is dope. All the beats on here are top notch. You know, if I was grading them, they'd be 4.5 stars or better. The next joint is called Good Time. I don't really remember this movie. I gotta go check out what that movie was about. I think the single even had like a picture of the movie, and I still didn't recognize it. So I gotta check that out. I love this one because the beat comes from Nas's "Accident Murderers" that he had with Rick Ross. One of my favorite samples. There's a lot of piano in it, good pace to it, little dramatic sound and whatnot, phenomenal. But he has a line. Ransom has a line in here. Oh, this song features Stove God Cooks and Shay Noir. Because Ransom is also part of TCF Music. But he says something about somebody told him he should be an actor, and he said, I was, to the parole board. And he said, but now I'm Marty from Ozark. And then he also comes back and says some line about rappers acting like Adele, something, but this ain't rolling in the deep. Just his wordplay and, different mentions that he includes in his lyrics. But Good Time is a dope song. Stove God Cooks. I had to listen to the song 2 or 3 times before he really, because Stove God is a unique dude, very unique dude. And I had to listen to it a few times before my mind synced his flow and style against this beat. But his verse is dope. Shay Noir comes in and closes it off. She's pretty solid in her feature, and it's a dope record. The next one is, like I said, Killing Them Softly. I'm a real fan. I've been saying this. I'm a real fan of the snippets from these movies that a lot of the rappers are including on their records. And this is something, I believe this is Brad Pitt saying this. And it's Obama in the movie. Obama was made, a speech from Obama was playing. And it says something about, it was, and Brad Pitt looks at the screen, I think, and says something about, this guy is talking about living in the community. He said, don't make me laugh. I'm living in America where you're on your own. He said, America is not a country. America is just a business. So it's a sample from that movie. If you haven't checked out Killing Them Softly, you may or may not like it. 25th Hour might be my favorite joint on here, the next track. It's really dope jazz sample. We don't hear a lot of jazz sampled in hip hop nowadays, but this is a real dope sample that Nicholas Craven works in here. And it's just some autobiographical talk about Ransom's, his times in the streets, hustling and doing whatever is associated with that. But he has another sports reference on this one, talking about it takes Bron to break the bubble again, referencing LeBron and what he did down in the bubble, for winning his 4th title or whatever it was. And then it's a bit of wordplay there. Was he saying Bron, B-R-A-W-N, or LeBron, or Bron, short for LeBron, B-R-O-N? So a little wordplay. Then he goes into this thing about something, a salt grinder that he took. I guess he was talking about working in the kitchen, chefing up some, taking care of some work. I don't know what the hell he was talking about, but it was put together nice. But just the sample and the production on that one, the descriptions, the vivid descriptions of everything that he was doing back in the day. That might be my favorite song on there. The Right is the next track. It's a gospel sounding sample. Again, like I'm saying, you can see just in that and what I was just mentioning about Good Time, these samples are they're so different, but they all come together and make this one project. And that's just, how prolific this Nicholas Craven cat, I always want to call him Wes, the director of the horror movies. But it's just a treat to just sit back and listen to the beats. The boxing reference. Let me write that down. He says something. My life is sweeter than Purnell's defense. Sweet Pea, Purnell Whitaker. He comes back and says something else about he tells one of his buddies in the lyrics, you know, you can't sell nothing on your. I make sure they can't sell nothing on your corner. That's Odell treatment. Again, his sports references. This is what I was talking about with one of the other rappers whose album I really liked the other day, UFO Feed. When you got dudes like not West Side, I always go to West Side, but when you got guys like Benny the Butcher, Conway the Machine, Ransom, a couple other dudes, when you had these guys throwing in these sports references in these really slick ways, like you really got to step your bars up to stand out as an MC right now. I mean, there's some guys that are truly just going really hard at the craft, you know, and a lot of guys don't have that well-roundedness or that versatility to what they do. They just talk about the streets or women, you know, or spending money or whatever. The right also has another Stove God, Cooks. I like the collaboration. I like these two collaborating together. They play off each other pretty well. Cooks comes and says something about something. He has the Aventator out front after something and 400,000 when his mama found 400K in the basement or something. You know, his typical stuff. Then next you got A Most Violent Year. It's this really dope guitar solo sample that almost sounds like something that's on Marsha Ambrosia's last or one of her recent albums. I doubt that's it, but it just reminds me of that. Another one of, you know, maybe my top 2 or 3 songs on here, A Most Violent Year. I had such big hopes for that movie with Isaac Oscar, I believe is his name, and the movie was kind of a dud. The album finishes off with Hella High Water, also one of the best on here. This song features a lot of dudes. Flea Lord, who Ransom has popped up on his projects, Rome Streets, Ito, and somebody named Riggs. Ransom, like I said, giving you different nuggets of game. He has a line on here about the boss will never pay you enough to be his neighbor. Said Ransom he's a slick dude, man. I mean, keep in mind, I'm only telling you the one line. Listen to the songs yourself and hear the bars around the one line that I'm telling you about. Give it some context. You'll see what I'm talking about. Flea Lord had a decent appearance here, solid appearance. The Rome Streets kid was pretty dope. He might have stole the show out of the features. Ito had a very strong verse. One of his more straightforward. Ito really doesn't always rap to me in a way. He's got a unique style, but on here he was more spitting and going along with everybody else in the song. But his verse is nasty too. This Riggs cat, I'm not too familiar with who that is or where that person comes from or any of their solo work, but he didn't bring the song down. So, but check that out. Like I said, 7 joints, 1 interlude. So it's 6 songs with, you know, lyrics on it. But Crime Scenes, I may come back and do a shorter, more focused review once I spend more time with it. I listened to it 2 or 3 times during the first half of my day, and it's just dope. It's a dope record. So anyway, let me get on off of here, man. Check out that Pharaoh Chain. Also, I think on the 21st, getting in just ahead of the holidays, I just mentioned Flea Lord. He's actually releasing his 12th album of the year, 12th project of the year. It's dedicated to the late Prodigy. It's something, it might even be in the name of Prodigy or something, but it's dope. I mean, not that it's dope. I have some huge expectations for it. Raekwon, I believe, is on there, and the usual suspects. Let me get on off of here. Got to go grab my lunch. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Tons of stuff to get into: music, sports, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Do something. I'm out.